Paschal Mooney. Senator Mooney, you have 4 minutes.
And thank you very much for taking the motion. I'd like to welcome Minister Deenahan, an old friend and colleague, but I have to put on the record my disappointment that the Minister for Justice is not here herself. And I appreciate that I'm very lucky that I have a Minister of the experience and expertise of Minister Deenahan, whom I'm sure, as he has already indicated in his previous reply, will be well able to answer any questions that might arise in relation to this motion, which, by the way, coincidentally, there is a common theme between both of them. And much of what you have been saying is probably what you might be formulating in the reply to this motion. However, it is very specific, and it is asking whether the Government are considering reintroducing the Community Based CCTV Scheme, which commenced under a previous government in 2005. I think it ended in 2009 or 2008, but proved to be hugely successful. And what prompted this particular motion is because, as the model at the time indicated, that this initiative supported local communities with the goal of increasing public safety and reducing the risk of antisocial and criminal activity. I have seen this in action with a community-funded CCTV scheme in Manorhamilton and County Leitrim, which has been in operation since 2008. And as a member of the police committee in County Leitrim, I attended a recent meeting where the Gardaí for both Sligo and Leitrim Division reiterated their strong support for the CCTV system, and they outlined, as had already been outlined to me by the Manorhamilton Community Group, that the effectiveness of the community CCTV scheme was unparalleled. They had, as a result of the scheme, which is closely monitored, were able to apprehend culprits. In one particular instance, the CCTV cameras were able to pick up a suspect who was the Gardaí were in pursuit. There were 3 roads leading out of Manorhamilton, any which one of them the alleged suspect could have taken, but because of the existence of the cameras, they were able to focus on the road he actually did take, and he was apprehended. Now, that's just one of many examples, and I'm therefore strongly of the view, and I have discussed this bilaterally with the Minister herself, that the reintroduction of this scheme, in light of the increasing fear there is, and I know the Minister in his previous reply talked about a reduction in rural crime, but as the Minister and everybody here is well aware, perception can sometimes overrule reality. And if you have media attention focused on a number of stories about rural crime, well, then everybody believes that they have the fear of God put into them, and that there are criminals waiting outside their door to break down their door and to steal and rob and goodness knows what else. But that doesn't in any way underestimate the horrific nature of some of these crimes, the most recent, of course, being in Tipperary, where those thugs and animals were finally apprehended, and delighted that they're not spending long enough in jail, as far as I'm concerned. They shouldn't be let out at all. They should throw the key away. But that's another issue. So, Minister, I'm particularly focused on this scheme. I believe that it was hugely effective. The problem has been, since it ended, that towns and villages across the country don't have the resources to be able to implement this scheme without some government support. In Carrick-on-Shannon, for example, where they have been crying out for a CCTV scheme for some time, the local business community, I understand, have now come together and are helping to fund one which will be up in operation, I hope, in the not too distant future. But it shouldn't come to that. I mean, there are places where it is not possible without financial aid, and I would hope, genuinely hope, that in light of the reply you've made already about the comprehensive nature of the approach being taken by your government towards addressing crime, and particularly rural crime, that this to me is a no-brainer. And despite or in spite of any limited economic difficulties you may have financially, as outlined by my colleague Senator Maloney with her particular motion, I really do think you need to prioritise these issues, no more than the motion that Senator Maloney has put down. I'm not fighting her case for her, she fought it very well. But if you are to address these specific issues, I think it's vitally important that you prioritise them and you find the money somewhere to do it, because otherwise there is, as the Minister will be aware, coming as he does, like myself, from a rural part of the country, you know the fear that people are feeling at the moment. And who are they looking to, Minister? They're looking to government. They're looking, and it doesn't matter what the colour of the government is. They look to government to see, and the Gardaí. They're the two guardians and the protectors of society, and therefore I think it's vitally important that this particular scheme be reintroduced as soon as possible. Thank you.
Tara.
Thank you. And again, the Minister.